For the exam I decided to go with Morticia and Gomez, Pebbles and Bam Bam and Barbie and Ken, and I wanted to try and use as many different techniques and like processes as possible. So for the Flintstones one I decided to use a technique called polyprinting, which is where I drew out, well, I printed out the pictures that I wanted at first and then drew them onto like a thin polystyrene sheet, and then with that I cut around the polystyrene to make little like stamps, so to speak, and then imprinted them with different designs and then inked them in green. Inked them in green, printed them onto paper, and then I scanned them into Photoshop and played around with them so I could get the like colours and textures and things like that I wanted. So I ended up doing, you can see it on my wall probably, maybe. I ended up doing the carts and bones, the dinosaur dog thing, and the cat. I decided to do them, oh, and like a club as well. I decided to do them rather than putting Pebbles and Bam Bam actually on the piece, just to do like, I thought putting Pebbles and Bam Bam straight on the piece would look a bit it'd be like too safe and a bit more like a bit obvious. So putting things that are associated with Pebbles and Bam Bam would make the piece a bit more interesting, and it kind of make you think, why is that like a combination of two people and things like that. The Addams Family one is my favourite piece, just because it kind of took like the longest, and the processes used were like I used a process and stuff that I haven't really used before. The background of that was done with cyanotypes, so I printed off a picture of Morticia and Gomez, like inverted it to make it like a negative piece, and then printed it out onto acetate and then put it under a UV light for 20 minutes with like the paper that it got transferred onto had a weird, like a special chemical on it that made it the way it was. So after the 20 minutes you put it under water and it'll go blue, and then I scanned that in and played around with the like highlights and shadows and the levels to create the background for that. And I also did that with the Addams Family house, which came out really cool because it had like trees at the top which came out all like spindly and kind of creepy, which is exactly what the Addams Family is about. I was going to use that for the whole pattern, and I just thought, I was looking at it and it just wasn't right. So I went back and decided to ink up a few people from the family. So I inked up Wednesday, Pugsley, Uncle Fester, The Thing, Cousin It, and I think his name's like Lurch or something like that, I can't remember his name. I inked them up and scanned them into Photoshop after I'd done that. And then with that, I don't know if you can see from there, but there's like a grey sheen over it. So I just put a layer of purple on and a layer of grey and put the purple over the grey and cut out bits of the purple so you could see the grey coming through. That just like highlighted a few things, just to make the piece a bit more interesting. I think the grey helps the piece like pop out and stand out a bit more. Without that it'd look quite dull. Out of all three of my pieces, the Addams Family one is my favourite, just because it stands out the most. It required like more work than any of the others, and I really enjoyed creating that piece. The Barbie and Ken one was the one I found most difficult of the whole three, and it's the one I did Barbie and Ken second, and then my teacher decided that it just wasn't like, it didn't fit in with the trio, so I had to create another one. And the Barbie and Ken that I originally did had like kind of like a graffiti element to it, and I used, oh, what's it called? I did some stencils with some spray paint and spray painted Barbie and Ken out, and then changed the colours and the levels and things like that. And then I also did the same to the Barbie logo and put that on there, and changed, there were some black ones with the Barbie logo and some pink ones. And then I decided with the the actual Barbie and Ken to do a mixture of bright colours and a few that are kind of like dullish, but mainly bright on this first piece, because I wanted it to, like when it's finished, to me it reminded me of kind of like a wall poster, because I put like a warmifying element over, like a filter over the top of it, and I really liked the way that went. But then when my teacher said that it didn't quite fit in with the rest of the pieces, I had to change what I was doing, so I came up with just a kind of simple one. And with that I took Barbie and Ken again. I got rid of the logo. I took Barbie and Ken and made them more into like pastel shades, so it kind of toned down the colour, and didn't put as many of them on the page. And when I use the pattern stamp tool to make it into my whole piece, there's a thing you can do that drops, like it's a different brush, and it doesn't, like if you only do it a little bit, only small bits of it come up, so not everything is like as defined. It kind of looks like there's like put like a film over the top of it where you can't see it as well. So I decided to do that, and then I used a editing software called Pixlr, which you can get online. It's a free editor, and had a look through different filters that they had on there and used those. Overall, I'm really happy with my pieces. I think that like changing the Barbie and Ken was the best thing to do when I look back on it, and I think I used my time pretty well. I think it was about an hour spare at the end, so because I was expecting to be finished like 2 or 3 hours before the end of the exam, but I think having an hour spare was the best thing. It allowed me some time to like kind of reflect, and I had time to just change a few more things if I needed to.